Hey everyone. So I'm going to start with the Qs today, just to review the indexes because of what transpired. This might run a little longer than the 15 minutes because a lot happened the past couple days. As always, consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the notifications bell just because this information is timely. And I think it's more helpful the sooner that you have access to it. So let's just jump right into it. And I said this last night on Twitter that I think that you're going to see a flush, and we saw that selling all after hours, and then we saw levels that we didn't think were possible. Now, I put this chart out there last night so that everyone could see this. And this is where I was hoping, if we were going to flush, let's just get it over with. Now what we're doing, and we're going to drill into this, but you can see this roll. This is not the worst thing in the world. So just, and I say this a lot, people don't really get it, but see this? I mean, you have a falling wedge here, and we clone these because they have to be the exact same trajectory. So there we go. So what you're seeing here is a falling wedge that's being created. And what that's going to do, that's going to get us to a position where we're actually setting up for higher highs. And I know it doesn't feel like that right now, but this market's setting up to go a lot higher. And really what I think is going to wind up happening, we can just use this one for now because it's a lower trajectory. I mean, I think you're going back up to here. I think you're going to that 340, 330, and that gives us, a 7-8% on this index. So if you look at like the Qs, the TQQs, I mean, we're setting up for a trade. And for those that read the newsletter, don't be surprised if you see us start talking about putting on a TNA trade, or more likely putting on the Q trade here, TQQ specifically, just because I think there's a lot of upside here. And this is a very interesting place to put that trade on. And I mentioned that on Twitter that I did purchase some today, but I'm going to review it, but I do think it's a good idea to have it in the newsletter right now. But so I feel that we have this level of potential from here, right? I mean, I think you have 8%. I think this is realistic. Your stocks can move dramatically with that 8%, and all I'm doing is getting us back to where we were 5 days ago. Does this take time to build? Is this going to go straight up? No, it's not. It's going to bounce around. That prevents buying opportunities for us, and we're going to get into our support levels. But I just want to go through this really quickly. See this 312.50 level? And we knew where this level was too, right? We knew that this was at 319. So that's what I say, it's so important that you know where your levels are, man. I can't stress this enough. Like, if you know where your levels are, you killed it today. And everyone out there is panicking, and we're going to talk about some of the other stuff, but everyone out there is panicking. I mean, and this thing just gives you, this is a 15-minute Q chart. It's straight down, just sheer panic. Get me out at any price. Okay, and I don't get into oscillators and things like that, but if you looked at an oscillator today, you'd see that we were like minus 80. Like the high on the oscillator is like minus 105. Clearly there's a bounce coming. Now whether that bounce holds or not is a completely different situation. But once you're up enough, you just move your stop to your break even, and it's a free trade. But let's get into this a little bit. So when we broke down here and we know that this is our level, look what this bar does. It opens and goes here. And right here you can see the push. But let me drill down even more. That's a 15-minute. It's a 1 minute. You hit it, you don't break it, you come back down, you undercut that, and you push up. Boom. There's your buy. I mean, when I tell you it's that simple, once you get this down and you know where your support and resistance levels are and you know how to draw them, there's a little more to it, but this is an effective strategy. And that was it. Here's your falling wedge, all 15 minutes of it. Boom. Reject here. Use this little break as your stop. I'm in the Qs for $1. So if you look at TQQ when this happened, okay, you're in at about $87. Okay, I think it's at 93.5 as I'm doing this, 92.5. I have to look it up. So I think it's really important to stress this, that you must know where your support levels are. Because if you do this, and whether or not you want to trade the Qs today, but let's say you had a buy list like NIO or Plug, and we're going to get into them, and you saw that we were triggering there. Well, that's your sign that if you don't want to be trading just the Qs, that's your sign that the markets are going to turn. I mean, understand you need your index, your sector, and your underlying stock to all be in alignment in order to get the most bang for your buck. You can't swim against the tide, as I always say. But so that's really where we are with the Qs. And IWM, I called it out as well. You can see this, right? I mean, this line's been here. You can go through every single newsletter and see this line, minor support. Okay, we don't even get to the 50. We don't even get to the 205. We get here. This is the IWM. Let's put this up here so that everyone can see it. So now what are we forming? I mean, eventually everybody will start to get these. And we clone them because we want the same trajectory, right? And boom, look, we broke out of that channel and popped right back in it. This is setting up to be the stronger market. You know, I still think it's the Qs that are going to win the day for the year, but we're above the 21 here, where the Qs are not. And, you know, you're in this little wedge, but we're holding support, we're holding minor support, and we're holding the 21-day right now. So this looks fairly good. But again, if you know where your key levels are, like that 218 level, let's just drill down into a 15-minute chart. Okay? Boom. Right? And then there we go. It's clear as day if you know what to look for. It's clear as day if you know what to look for. Breaks down, rallies, never breaks that bar on a 1-minute chart. And I know people say don't use 1-minute charts. That's fine. I use them. But look at this. We never got to it. And then that's all your stop had to be, was right here. And then you were in this trade. So just keep that in mind. It's really important. Now I'm going to run through some that people have asked me about, and then I'm also going to give you some that I think give great examples today of what transpired. So I know people are really happy on these and all over them. I get it. The airlines, I mean, eventually they will make a profit. They will come back. I actually have been flying for the past 3 days, which is why I haven't been able to answer everyone's notifications. It's just, you know, it's interesting. The plane was booked solid. I flew American on one of the planes. So it's just very interesting. But so you have this undercut here on your daily chart, right? Clear as day that you've broken that downward trend. You had this one spike. Here we are. I think you're okay here. You're taking out these higher highs. Look at this now, right? You know, I just don't usually play with these stocks because they're value, and then when they get to certain PEs, the buyers step away. It's just a completely different game. And you can make money with them for sure, but you know, if I was to buy this and I was really interested in owning American Airlines, this 2280, get above 2280, and now you have my interest because now I'm in this gap, right? And this gap will run at least to here, to $28. So there's 6 points. I mean, if I can make 20% on a low beta stock like this, that makes sense. But right here, I'm not crazy about it. So this was one that no one asked about, but I just want to point this out. We've been looking at RK for a while, okay? And we said this last time this happened. Undercut, tested a 21-day. That was right here. We undercut, tested it, and then we took out a new high. See how this is trading just like the index, but on steroids? So what does that mean for us? All right, well, here's one. Here's two, which is more the major one here, right? So let's just use the major one for now. Okay, so here's your major, okay? And now what we have to do with this is what? We have to clone it so that we have the same trajectory. If I say it long enough, people will get it, right? And we're just going to put this here. Okay, so look at this range, and you have obviously a minor one right here that you could show too. Hold on, let me just show you that. So you can see the minor ones here too, right? But let's take a look at what's going on here. We come to the bottom of this. Now these lines were here before. We come right to the bottom of that, and what do? We bounce off of it. Open, gap open, and you just couldn't even get out. I mean, these we call these screw bars because there's just massive selling and the dumping, and then boom. But if you know where your support level were, this is where you buy. And what happens here? Right now you're at the lower end of this daily channel. We can go to the upper channel. Where would you want to buy ARK? Right around 127. So a lot of these are really setting up that you could buy this, and now you go to the upper channel, and now this is your stop. So it's 4 or 5 points on this index to make 30. Not the worst trade in the world. So this is one that I'm definitely interested in. It's just going to take time now for this to heal. But do I think it undercuts this? It could. But we tried here and we didn't do it. We went right to the breakout bar here and we didn't stay below it. Day's still young. Let's see how we close. But if you were ever interested in owning this, this was your chance. And it still is your chance. So I would say look at that. This is a major break. Now we had this in the newsletter, and obviously we'll be stopped out of it today. I believe we got stopped out yesterday at the 1270 break, but let's just go through this. So we let it trade up. We trimmed here, or we advised to trim there, and then we're here. Okay, so you see this wedge? See how it broke, and then boom, opened right near this high, and then just sold down. I put on there today on Twitter, I bought this. This to me is just an absolute exhaustion. Get me out at any price. I don't care. I just want my money back. I love those because that means that their plan wasn't thought out. And you can see the reversal. And I traded it very simply. And you can go look at the timestamps. So we fell. You had this bar here. This is where I acquired. Now this is a really interesting trade because this is how it goes. They go to second positions. So, and this is BNGO. And by second positions, I mean this is what happens. You roll in a waterfall effect, you rally up, you retest back down, and then it explodes. So you add here, right? You don't have to put on a full position. You can put a full position on when it does this. And this way, at least you have half a position on if you're wrong. And then we can see what transpired today. When we got up to this level, I think I told you on Twitter that I did trim it out. I like this, and I like this here, but this is broken now, and this needs time. But if I'm in at the right price, it's worth staying in the trade. I think my cost is $9 on it, so trim it some up, move the cost to my stop, or even move the cost to the low of the day and just have a break-even trade all around. And I can sit with it forever until it works itself back up because, the risk versus reward makes sense. So I just want to talk about this one for a moment. I got a lot of questions on this yesterday and the next day, and that's kind of why I went on a rant this morning. This mentality that's out there of we never sell, it is the most ridiculous thing in the world. Warren Buffett sells. People sell. Things change. I'm going to hold forever. It's got disaster written all over it. When we were trading in 99, 2000, which this market is not like that, but if we were trading like 99, 2000, and you had that mentality, you'd be in negative equity. I mean, you would absolutely get annihilated. This is nothing, these kinds of sell-offs compared to that. So I understand that people that are trading right now are much younger than me. For people that want to know, I'm in my 40s. I get it. You want to hold on. You believe in the company. I got it. But I can literally tell you stories about people that had $100 million positions that went to zero. There were companies that were worth $100 billion that went to zero. So it can happen. And not having a game plan and not understanding what you own is a recipe for disaster. So I was talking about trading this, and if you broke here, how we could rally up, and that's exactly what happened. When the news hit that these guys were paying $15 a share for the company that has a prototype that's not even in production, but they're going to take reservations, you understand what you truly owned. And that's why you saw this. So just so we're clear, what transpired here is retail bought all in here, and then retail panicked. The people that were selling the shares were the institutions that got in here, and they were selling them to the street. So when you look at your 13Fs or 13Ds, if you look at those insider positions, you'll see exactly what happened here. I mean, there's no doubt about it. So that's why I went on my little tangent about, hold forever. And you look at something like this, I've gone from 64, where some poor guy owns it, or girl, to 30. And you're going to tell me that I'm supposed to hold it here? It just doesn't make any sense to me. If I was to trade this, I would be very concerned of being in this right now, that I could have another gap down, even back down to where it actually priced. No one can truly explain to me why the valuation of this would be so much greater than the day that the company sold themselves to the SPAC. And understand that that's what a SPAC is. The company is actually selling themselves to that endeavor. So if they're going to pay 15, you're going to pay 38. Doesn't really sound like a great deal to me. So, just keep that kind of thought process in mind. Now, if I was in this here, my close below 35.18, for those of you that are in it, you're going here. Okay, you're going to 21.80. So just keep that in mind. I would not add to this. There are significantly better trades out there today. NIO went directly to a support level and bounced 20%, and is a real company with real earnings. So CCL was one that I keep getting questions about. I'm getting more and more questions about, I thought I had this, there it is. I'm getting more and more questions about these kinds of stocks and the cruise lines and the airlines, because people are waiting for them to come back. Look, I traded this the other day and it did exactly what it always does. They just fail support levels. I'm not telling you not to buy them, but when you buy these, you have to have a very long-term outlook and have we've been basing for almost 2 years. You have to have a very long-term outlook and just don't even look at them, right? And know where your stops are, and that's it. I thought that this could run more and fill this gap. The selling today, we're having a hard time with. So I would wait until we close above this 25.61 before I add to it, because you can eventually, it would take a year or two to get to this 41 level, but that can happen. So edit, I was asked about. This is a major break. 67 here. You can see how we can't get above it, open below it, and we talk about these, how they open us down and then break us down, and then we roll. And that's exactly what transpired here. You're going to here. There's no support here. There's nothing here. So you're going to, you have this little, and there's volume there. You have 43 as support, which is also this wick break. If you break 43, you're going to 40.50. So I would avoid this. FEYE, I'm going to say that here's our one line, right? So if we were to, let me clone array. So we're just going to leave it. But if you can see right under it, you can see that you're right there, right? So let's see how close I can get to this without trying to make that as close to that trajectory as possible. That's close enough. So you can see this trajectory in this downward trend. The action in this today, frankly, I like the action. I like how it's stopped. I'd want to see a higher high and see it pop back over this 2029. But this is a very interesting place to buy it, like how we buy those boomerang trades. And then, they undercut the support and then reverse and go higher. This is setting up for a very interesting entry here. So I would not rule this out, and I would look at this 2029 level. And we reviewed this weeks ago. You have this 2064 level on the weekly, right? And this is FEYE, F-E-Y-E. And look where you're just sitting off that open, right? So let's keep this in mind. I think this is really interesting. But this is definitely one to watch. So net sold down with the rest. Here's your enormous channel on net. Here's your break. the other day. Here's the sell down in the panic, and then we're forming a hammer. See how you close here? You have 3 days to pop back into the channel. That's usually what it takes. So if you pop back 3 days from now, everything's golden, and I would take a look at it, and it's a pretty easy place to figure out where your stop is. And you have to watch and see that these 50-day moving averages get respected. 50-day is where most institutions will try to defend their positions. So, I bring this one up because I'm partial to it. I think they're going to be around a long time. But I bring this up for a reason. So I stressed you need to know where your support and resistance lines are. Okay, this line has been here since we took a position at $48. I think it's been here since we took this position here at 48, traded it up here. These are from before. I think I still have that writing somewhere. Yeah. So, and we traded this one before in the newsletter. And if you don't get the newsletter, please subscribe. It's in the descriptions, and just click on it. It's free. So, and there's value there. If there's a way to ask people that already get it, they'll. Hopefully they see value. We're well over 1,000 people to it right now, and I really just started it. So, look here, 41.57, and look what happens. Like 41.66. I mean, are you joking? Like, and this line's been sitting there, right? And look at this. So where was your buy? Right here. There's your 15-minute chart. What do we do with our 15-minute? Drill down. Look at a 1. Boom. We just talked about this. They bounce, right? I just showed you this in BNGO. They rally. They fail. And here they undercut. Sometimes they undercut. Sometimes they didn't. If they don't undercut and then pop above, like right here, and I know I'm getting way technical, but today was a great day and to teach. So you see how you break right above this, right? And then you go, oh, look at that. Now I have a lower low. I'm breaking here. Boom. And it just took off. This was a very easy, if you were set up, this was a very easy trade NIO. So, and that's one that we might start seeing back in the newsletter. So NNDM, it looks just broken. I mean, a lot of these look like BNGO, BNGO. I mean, they're broken small biotechs. They're going to have to roll for a little bit and then build back up, and there's really nothing you can do about it. This one's not really closing near the high. BNGO kind of moved itself back up a little bit more. Well, not really, did it? So you really need to watch this. You need to get over this 50 and have it be defended. I would not add to this here, not yet. Let's start seeing it defend itself and build and then go higher. It could build here and go higher, and that does happen. Give you an example of that. And I'm trying to stay within 15 minutes, but I'm going to fail. I can see that. But you see how this is the 50-day? You remember when this broke out? And at Peloton, everyone's got to buy it, and then we had earnings, and we just came down, and then, oh, it's all over. But look at this 50-day, and look how it trades around there. That's what can happen. You just start getting buyers and sellers fighting within this range. They try to sell up here. The buyers are trying to buy below the 50-day for their cost, and eventually it resolves itself. And for the person that asked me about Peloton, I really wasn't going to run it, but these are old trend lines, and you can see exactly where we hit. So if you broke the low of the day, you'd want to be out of it. But overall, this looks like it's going to go back and retest this 139.70 level. This is an older trend line that we don't need anymore. So you can see what's going on here, right? So this can form this hammer, bounce right off this. And just so we're clear, this line's been here since January. And look what it did. So that's why I'm such a big proponent of these. So Planter, just to cover, I explained yesterday I was going to put it in the newsletter, and then it pulled the flim-flam on how it opened on the day. So we stepped away from it, and I didn't put it out there. I'm grateful one less loss, right? So this 24.27 level has been there. I've had this level in there for months. And it's here, 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 here. I mean, it's hit 7-8 times in this level. What happens? We undercut that level, and then we bounce. And all you have to do, again, look at this undercut. Look how it reverses. And when you see this and you see these levels and you want to get really technical, you start looking at 1 minute charts. Here's that thing that I talk about where it comes down, then it tries to rally, then it fails. Second time, right? Here's your 1, 2. Here's your second 1. Boom. Little doji bar, reversal right through it. Look at the volume that came in. Highest volume on the day. It was golden. I mean, I made it very clear that I bought this on Twitter today. So I think that's why I'm stressing it's so important to look at these support and resistance lines and come in with a plan. Like, you know, yes, this is exciting. Yes, it's great to make money. But the thing about it is, it shouldn't be like terrifying. You should have it all thought out ahead of time. Not this, we're going to hold forever. You know, it's maddening when I hear it. So, so here's plug, and I always wanted to point this one out. Okay, this major support level's been in here since January. This has been in here forever. Okay, what happened? We broke minor support. We tried to rally through it here. We failed. We failed the 50-day. Where do we hit major support? Same exact trade, man. It is the same trade. Same soup reheated, right? So, I mean, I can't point these out anymore. Like, it's just, they're glaring. Boom, you've come down. You come down again, you test, and then you go. So you can see these patterns, right? And they exist everywhere. So please draw your support and resistance levels. Even if you're wrong, you still get a decent level, and you just get better and more proficient at drawing them. So RCL, a gentleman asked me to look at. RCL has the strongest balance sheet of all three companies. So, and what you'll see by that, and you'll see that it reflective. Right? See how this one's acting a little bit better than CCL. That's because the people that buy these are value guys, and they're looking at the best balance sheet. You know, you get a higher high here. This can run right to the 109 level, which is 20 points. You know, it's just you're above this now. You're above this, and you're staying above this for the second and third time. This is pretty good stuff. And you could run back up here, which would get you, you know, there's 30 points here. But this stuff takes a long time to get back. I know you see this, but these value stocks take a long time to get back. Roku. So, again, you know, I thought that this acted fairly good today, but you're right on a key level here. And you have this major reversal. So for the people that are asking about it, I want to close above this line, which looks to be 408.61. This was a trade from before where we made 71 points on it. I just don't take the stuff off. I just leave the videos rolling and edited. It just makes it faster. So let's go take a look. 50-day, and then we bounce. That's not really that clean, is it? But this is clean. Look how clean this is. There's your breakout bar, where it was the low of the day. Gosh, I was so busy looking at other ones, I didn't even see this one. Look at this. I mean, that's just perfect. There's your breakout bar, your all-time breakout bar, and we just happen to go to it. And I won't even do the 15-minute, 1-minute thing, and maybe I should do a whole video on that so people get it. You know, I've been doing this for over 20 years, so sometimes I just think that I expect people to get things a little faster, you know, just because of the vernacular. Anyway, so again, skills. I got asked about this one today. Look, this was perfect. What do you do now? I think you have a couple things you really need to look at here that it's very interesting. We bounced off the 50, and we cleared right back through support, didn't we? We have a channel here, and we're already ready to pop into it. So this thing has three strong characteristics already, and the day's not even over. What are those three strong characteristics? We hit the 50, and we bounced right off of it. We closed above a major support level, and frankly, considering how much extended this was pretty much a major support, unless you're going to get all the way back down to here. So now we're forming a hammer bar. See how we're at the top of this bar versus when I showed you BNGO and NNDM? Shows you where the money's going, right? Money's coming back into these faster than the NNDMs and BNGOs of the world. So BNGO, I know, but I call it BNGO. But and then here, you see how these averages are? So I have 4 points to get in this thing before I'm even at the 21 and the 8. And meanwhile, I pop back in this channel. It's a great spot to be. So I like this. I may look at this for a higher high and then activate it. This is something that you may see in the newsletter. Sun W, this just looks beyond awful. Peak, and let me put this up there for the people that W. So you have a peak here, and I know this went over. Probably the rant didn't help. But see this wedge, and you can see this here and here. You have a wedge here. Higher high, tries to rally, fails, rolls, breaks this. All these averages are rolling, and now the high is the open, and we're below the 50. I would watch this. I would not be jumping into this. So this TDAC, this is one that I actually own, and I actually added more of today, and it was a pretty simple trade. I mean, you can see the line, and I'm not going to walk through the 15-minute, 1-minute thing again, but you can see right where we were, and I'm like, okay, well, here's support, and it was a pretty easy ad. You know, we roll, we try to rally, we roll. This is on 1 minute. You can see exactly where that line is. I mean, it was simple. Trip, I like this. I like that this one, TRIP, and I like that it's up on the day. You know, that's telling you a lot. Like, this just looks beautiful. And I do not have a position in it, but here's your support level. Here's your other one. And now you're going back up to here. The only thing about it is you have several resistance levels, but let's do this real quick with this one. It's worth our time. This is definitely worth our time. So for the gentleman that asked me about all the cruise lines and airline stocks and also threw this in, this is the one that you need to be looking at. So you can see these levels up here, right? And you see this trend right here? Like, look, watch this. This is just sick, right? And look how you broke. I'm not going to draw the other one for time's sake. And now we flipped. Boom, now we're stepping up, breakout, stepping up, breakout, stepping up, consolidate, breakout. Right now, you're going to this. I mean, you have a right shoulder failure pattern, and you're heading to this $69 level. This is very interesting and one I would definitely put on your watch list. This is VUZI. Look, this had a huge run, and it's a very thin stock. You know, just you can see how we're having a harder time rallying on these. The one thing I would say about this is, we didn't break the 21, we didn't break the 50. So this one is much stronger than the other ones that we looked at today that have broken the 21 and the 50. But I'm not crazy about this range or this bar right now. This needs to develop more. Yala, I mean, here's your major support level. But boom, boom. And then we hold here. And now we're above the 50-day. I have this huge falling wedge. I need to get above this. If I can get above this high of the day on tomorrow's bar, this is definitely worth looking at because I would have broken through this channel and then on my way up. So that's it. I actually went over substantially. Please message me with questions today. I know there's a lot out there when we get like this and I go on my little rants, but please message me with any questions you have, and please like this because I'm trying to educate people. The goal is to educate people on what it truly takes to be a consistent, profitable trader. Thank you very much for your time.